how to move from one town to another in Upper West at that time, that part of the country. You could be in Laura and spend 7 days before you get to the next place. You will be in Wa and you will spend days before you get to Tumu, and so the roads were so bad and no vehicles were moving. So I made up my mind at that time that if I had power, I would create a region for them so that the place would open up. And lo and behold, I became secretary. It was me, Rawlings sent an advance party to me to find out whether I was amenable to us creating, splitting the region so that Upper West people would have their region. And I said I had been waiting for it. And I had studied the files in Bolga. And all the ministers who came were against it. All the ministers except Liman's minister, because he was from Upper West.
Okay.
He was from Tumu area there,
Yeah.
George Nanjo. He was the only one from the file I studied. He was the only one who favored the creation of the region. Then I was for it. So I told Rawlings that yes, I had been thinking about it, and it was a God-sent idea that he had brought. You should go ahead and form it. So he came to Bolga and announced it, and then they created the region. Now I remained Upper East Regional Secretary. Then there was a vacuum in Ministry of Agric, and he asked me. Now we are turned from antagonists into, you know,
friends.
Not friends. I mean, working colleagues, close. He consulted me on many things. So he said I should get somebody for Agric. I tried Howard's husband. Howard Yakubu's first husband. He's from here. He's from Zabila here.
Okay.
Professor Ayebo, Amadou Ayebo. I chased him. He refused. He said, John, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I left him. Then he said I should get him Mila, Colonel Mila. Yes. I struggled with Colonel Mila.
He's from where?
Navrongo.
Okay.
And he used to be, he was regional minister here in Achampon's time.
Okay.
And he was Eastern Regional Minister. He was Minister for Industries and so on. During Achampon's time, he was somebody also who was very, you know, sterling in his service as a public officer. So I struggled with him, and he also finally told me that he would not, I should allow him, he wouldn't be able to do the work. So he said, well, I asked you to get me this Ayebo, you couldn't get him. I said, get me Minila, you couldn't get him. So you will have to take the position.
As an agric minister.
Yes. So that's how he moved me from. And that coincided with the things I had done together with my colleagues, Aboka and others. He was very impressed about the procedure I had adopted. Then dovetailing that into the operations we did in Burkina Faso to put Sankara in power there.
Okay.
Under everything under my organization. That's how Rawlings became very, very convinced that I was somebody to work with. So he said I must come to Agric. So he took me to Agric. Then the problem started. Then the IMF came and said that we should cancel subsidy from fertilizer. And I said, and I went to tell him that I am a peasant son. My father was a peasant. And for me to preside over removing subsidies from fertilizer, I wouldn't be able to take my hand and sign something like that. So the IMF people were having I had problems with the American ambassador. He would come and I would challenge him on some of the things they were doing all over the world, and so on and so forth. So problems started coming in till he moved me from Agric and sent me into the castle to take care of charge of cocoa section and transport. You know, I was in charge of approving importation of vehicles And we had taken a decision that we would standardize vehicles, because it's only in Ghana that you come and you see all brands of vehicles. We had taken a decision that we will limit the number of types, brands, to only 3. Toyota, I think Toyota was there, Mitsubishi, and Peugeot. But P.V. Obing was my boss. He was a prime minister.
Okay.
These Ashantis will bring their used cars, and that's the time they started bringing used cars. And I will mean it that they should be seized. They should be seized because they were outside the standard list, standardization list. They will go and PV will cancel my order and give counter order and so on. So problems started until I realized that there was no point. By that time, Chris Atim and others had fled
the country.
I was the only real serious Northerner, especially young Northerner with the process. There was a person like Idusu Mahama, but just going along. So one day, that is very dramatic, how I became a lawyer. One day, and then one Justice Annan was almost deputy chairman of the PNDC. And Rawlings was preparing him actually to do certain high-level things. And he was staying, he had an office at the State House, which is now the Parliament building, where the lawyers, where the MPs have their offices.
Okay, a minute, I'm coming.